my fiance can tell you how many times I wanted to quit. Just like any entrepreneur or creative, right? We are our biggest enemy when it comes to that. We're our biggest critic. We doubt ourselves left and right. One day, walked into my director's office. I said, "I'm done. Like, I can't do this. I'm not here mentally. I'm not here.
Welcome to Be Bold Branding, where we discuss the power of differentiating yourself through your own unique story and standout personal brand. Greetings, business stars. Every entrepreneur needs a great video and digital design strategy that represents their story and their business, right? Well, that's why we have Edgar Sierra on the show today. He operates his company, Sierra Media, out of Reno, Nevada. He's also the host of the Daily Entrepreneur podcast. So today we're going to learn exactly who he helps and what led him in this direction.
We'd like to welcome Edgar Cierra to Be Bold Branding. How are you, sir?
Michael, Tanya, thank you guys so much for having me on. It's been great. And thank you guys for your guys' time and being on Daily Entrepreneur. We really appreciate that. And I'm happy to be on to talk a little bit about everything entrepreneurship.
I love it.
There you go. Well,
we like Edgar. We just want to tell our listeners here, we like Edgar. He's got a great energy. You're going to love some of the things he's going to talk about here today. And he's got a grasp on entrepreneurialism that is very apparent when you talk to him. Yeah. And you're going to see it. So
yeah. I remember the first time we got on I think we did like a pre-interview call with you before we came on your podcast, and we hung up. It's like, man, when are we going to get on that podcast? Because we like that dude.
Yeah.
No, that's just the way it went.
It was awesome. I remember we had to stop because I'm like, I want to keep going, but I have to stop because I wanted to say this for the podcast.
Right. It was such a great conversation. We're going to have another one today, Edgar. All right. Well, let's start with this first question. Was there a specific event or a person in your life that shaped who Edgar Sierra is and resulted in what you're doing right now?
Yeah. I mean, it might sound cliche, but my dad was the biggest reason why I persevered and worked hard to be where I'm at. Being younger, my dad really taught me what it was, to work hard. When I was 16, 17, I started doing what's called geotech drilling with him. And it's labor intensive. I mean, you're talking about early mornings, 4 or 5 in the morning. You're getting sunburns on top of sunburns. I mean, it was exhausting. But one thing that I saw from my dad is that he never quit. There was always something with it. And there was days that, like, I'm a younger guy. My dad, he definitely beats me in age. And there was just times where I was just like, I don't know how you do it. I'm younger than you and I'm already hurt. And he's like, oh, we still got 6 hours to go. And I'm just like, all right, let's do this. And, waking up those early mornings and stuff kind of just continue to stick with me throughout the rest of my life. And, we saw my dad always being willing to do more. Sometimes he'd come home and there was something to fix. And even though he had just done 8 hours under 110-degree weather, then he'd just go back at it, get stuff done. And he was really the biggest reason why I worked hard through everything, this journey has taken me through to get to where I am today.
That's great. That is really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Why video and digital then? Okay. So your dad is hardworking and instilled some good values in you, obviously. Why did you want to go towards video and digital and how it pertains to entrepreneurialism?
Oh man, that's a full question because it definitely was not my direction. Since I was younger, law enforcement was my dream. That was where I was gonna go, and I knew that from the very beginning. Starting young, I went through what's called the Police Explorer program, became young sergeant, ran the program for about 3 years, and that was it. I love being in a black and white on Saturday nights instead of partying. It was awesome. But I slowly fell out of love, in that journey. When I went to go work for the Department of Homeland Security, I no longer loved it. And one of the things that I really disliked was the complacency that started happening towards my end of the time there, was that I was just going through the motions. And I was just like, this is it. I one day walked into my director's office. I said, I'm done. Like, I can't do this. I'm not here mentally. I'm not here. I'm not capable to do what my job description does, and I'm done. But also at the time, when I was 18, there was a professor that, you know, had a studio. He allowed me to go shoot with him, and I quickly fell in love with photography. And photography was my main thing. That's all I wanted to do. But I slowly felt that sometimes photography doesn't capture a business story as well as video or design or a website, you know. And slowly over the years, we went away from just photos to photo and video to now doing everything from web design to digital design, logo creation, brand creation. And we're basically a one-stop shop now, because one of the issues that we kind of saw in this industry was that when you wanted to find somebody, you found like a logo creator, but that was it. Or you found a content creator and that was it, right? You couldn't find a one-stop shop that helped you with everything from business backend needs to also putting out a message and creating an identity for your business. And it really excelled. I mean, right now we're signing up new customers as they come and in big numbers, right? Something that we never thought we would be doing, but everything started and came from that photography. If I had never done the photography, we'd never be in this position, right? And there was one lady that gave me a big break when I first started this journey. Is I was just doing this photo shoot, and it was called light painting out in the desert, middle of nowhere. And this random lady comes up. She goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Well, I'm shooting. I'm doing some photo shoots. I'm just practicing." And she goes, "Can I see your photos?" I'm like, "Sure." And mind you, at this time, I'm brand new, have like the beginner camera. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just out there doing my thing. She goes, "How would you like to be my head photographer?" I said, "What?" So I'm sitting here like my stuff ain't that good. I don't know what you're talking about, lady. You must be out of your mind. And she gave me her card, and you know what I said? I can't miss this opportunity if it's real. So I called her that following day. We set up a meeting a week later, and by the end of the day, I had lined up a photo shoot for Jaguar and Land Rover. So imagine this kid, brand new into photography, getting the chance of a lifetime to go shoot for such two big brands. So I did it. I went in there. I had no idea what I was doing. I took my basics. I practiced as I was going, and that led to so many more opportunities. You know, I was a head photographer for 2 magazines for 2 years. I shot for Jaguar and Land Rover for those full 2 years. You know, we had so many experiences with businesses all over, needing photography, needing all this stuff, and that's kind of what led to where we're at today. And I never lost those opportunities. I never wanted to wonder what if down the road, right? And I'm lucky that I didn't, because those chances that I took have paid off in the long run.
Hey, there's the first takeaway from this interview, guys.
Yep. Takeaway number one, folks.
Takeaway number one is don't miss the opportunity, you know. And Edgar, back then you doubted yourself. It's like, is she for real? Like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. But you said to yourself, don't miss this opportunity. If it's real, I can't afford to miss it. And you didn't. And, you know, it's that leap of faith, you know, stepping out in faith that really helps, you know. And it just goes to show that, you know, when we ask this question, we say, was there a person or an event in your life that shaped you? 99.9% of the time, it's actually both. Mm-hmm. And that event and that person and your dad growing up, you know, watching his work ethic, those things shaped you, you know, and that's really, you know, a large part of what leads us to where we are today.
Yeah. Exactly. I had a guy, a super wealthy guy in South Carolina and years ago when I was young. And he said, Mike, you got to be smart enough. You got to be smart enough to take something when somebody's trying to give it to you. And it was just a good country boy way of saying, well, you know, you got to take these opportunities. If she was willing to take a chance on you, you should have been definitely willing to take a chance on her. But I got to say that part of the drive for your success was definitely you recognizing you was in the wrong space before and reversing that space. And I think that the older we get, the harder that becomes for us, you know. So I encourage the young entrepreneurs out there, take your chances when you can take those chances easier. And that's not to discourage those other people that are older and didn't take those chances, and now those chances are a little bit harder. You should still take them also. But when we're young, it's easier to grab a hold of that. So you start off smart enough to say, hey, I don't want to be in this space. I'm going to go into this space. And then the universe has opened the door for the next space for you, right? Because you were holding to your personal story. Yeah. Right. Now, when did you realize that your personal story could attract customers? What was that ever a revelation moment that might be invaluable to you?
Um, well, this is the part where it gets a little personal, right? And I think a lot of people are going to be able to relate to this. Is that I never really liked my photography. I'm going to tell you that I never fell in love with my own work. And I think just like any entrepreneur or creative, right? We are our biggest enemy when it comes to that. We're our biggest critic. We doubt ourselves left and right. And it wasn't until, I think it's been in the last year, to be honest with you. I've been in business since 2017, and it hasn't been until the last year that I've really started settling in and being like, you know what? I did this. I'm here, right? We look back at 2017, and I was talking to my fiance. We just closed on a house, something that I never thought that I'd be doing. 2017, I just gave up this job as a federal employee with the best benefits and the greatest pay, and I said, forget this. This is not for me. And my fiance actually paid for my bills for 3 months because I didn't have an income, but she believed in me. She believed that I could do it. And we're in a position now where, I can take care of her. I can take care of my business. My business is at flow. I mean, we just survived a pandemic of 2 years. We're striving for more. We're getting customers. We're building a clientele. And it wasn't until lately that I felt, you know what? My story matters. My story is something that a lot of people cannot take away from me and won't ever take away from me. But it's taken so long to actually value and see everything, because when you're going through it, you're like, who knows? I mean, I can tell you, my fiance can tell you how many times I wanted to quit and I just want to throw in the towel and say, you know what, I'll go work for somebody, right? But now we're here, and that's all I can say. And there's only ways up, right? There's only a way up. And one of the biggest things that I've seen over the last, year is that I've helped entrepreneurs that really doubted themselves and were in the same position I was.
Mhm.
And it's been nice to be able to give them the advice to say, you know what, I've been through that, and this is how I felt, or this is how I dealt with it. Whether they take the advice or not, that is up to them, and that's completely okay. But the way that I saw it is that some of them reacted differently, that they were like, you know what, I'm going to take it. They took it, and to see their smile, to see them excited, to see their business grow. We recently took a company that was a nail tech. We didn't understand anything about nails. I mean, I don't go get them done every week. I get them done every other week, but she asked us for some help to rebrand, to do a logo, and we really embodied that. We took it, and the minute that we showed her her logo, she cried, right? And that was one thing that I never got. I never got that. I didn't get those feelings. And we helped another entrepreneur now that is starting up his tree service, and he got screwed. I mean, he got screwed out of a lot of money. Somebody asked him to pay for an EIN, which an EIN is completely free. Right. You submit, and he ended up paying like $500, and they structured his business wrong. He thought he had an LLC. Well, he had a name reservation, and that was it.
Wow.
It was not an LLC. So if he continued to go the way he was going, building this so-called business, right? Well, legally so-called business, one day he got screwed. And that's detrimental to his families. That's detrimental to everybody around him, not just him. And when you take somebody that is bootstrapping and you can't help them, right? And you want to charge them thousands of dollars, they can't afford that. So guess what? They lose the drive to build their dream. And I've never been okay with that. Some of the guys that I'm helping now, hey man, just buy me lunch. I will call it good. Come and sit down, let's have a conversation. Because that's one thing that I didn't have. We have another client, Nonstop Auto. He showed up one day and was like, man, I want to start a business. I said, all right, let's do it. I helped him out, and he paid me in burritos. Like, he would buy me burritos every once in a while just to say thank you. Now he's in his own shop. He has a 2-truck fleet, and he has 3 employees, and he's doing great for himself. Had I never taken the chance on him, had I never helped him, where would he be today, right? And we always ask those questions. And that's realistically me right now. I'm finally getting okay that, you know what, I did this. It's been 5 years in trials, tribulations, blood, sweat, and tears, but here we are, and I did this.
I love it.
I do too.
Y'all see why we like him so much?
What a
That's
story.
incredible, because Edgar, we noticed it right off the bat, first time we ever met with you, that you approach things from a place of abundance and giving
and heart.
that is so valuable to the world and so unseen normally in business, especially business to business. But we have always held to the thought that you can have both. You don't have to have, that's ridiculous to think that there's a line drawn between the two. And we clearly see that that is you too. And that attitude, that optimism is going to take you great places, my friend. There's no doubt about that. So that's really cool.
And relating it to personal branding, Edgar, you know, there are so many people out there that don't tell their story like that. Right. And they become just another logo. Right. Mm-hmm. We always say people don't do business with a logo. They do business with a person. Right. There's a person behind that logo and there's a story behind it, you know, so there's a story behind every business. And each time you share your story, you're going to attract more people. Mm-hmm. You just are.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no doubt. Hope so. You know what? One of the things that I feel that is wrong with entrepreneurship and business owning is that we make everything so taboo, from numbers to your tricks and CRMs and business licensing and how you should write things off. And you know what? That's detrimental to the world. I mean, in the sense of, you know, you have a new generation of entrepreneurs now, and they're going to continue growing every day. We're not going to be here forever, right? And we don't pass on that information, if we don't pass on our tips and tricks, how are we going to build the next generation of entrepreneurs? Right. And that becomes detrimental in the world of people having to go out and do a 9-to-5, which there's nothing wrong with that. But there's people that really want a business. They just never given the opportunity or the information to do it. And you know what? Google can only go so far. When you have somebody personally looking at what your business structure is and what it needs to be and what direction you need to go, then it helps out in the long term. Right. The day that we've helped some of these entrepreneurs that they get their logo, they get their branding, we do some mock-ups for them. The way that their face lights up, they know that it's real and they want to work harder. They want to do the next big thing. And that's where I disagree. We should not stop providing this information. I don't care. A lot of people ask me, hey man, do you mind me asking what you made? I'm like, yeah, sure. Why not? It doesn't bother me because it doesn't make or break anything about me. It doesn't make it or break anything about my business.
Right.
But for them to be excited about making money and doing it on their own and writing their own schedules, what I'm really happy to be doing for them.
Love it.
And it's a shame that there are so many people who are taking advantage of it, this phase of life, because that's the phase where they have a dream and they believe in it and it's squashed by somebody who doesn't care. You know, those things are remedied by people like you.
Yeah, they are. You know, I've been in business now going on my 30th year on my own. And I can tell you, it doesn't matter how much money I've made in a lifetime or on one particular deal. If the people walked away from that deal not happy with the service that I provided, I failed. And I didn't do what I was set out to do. The money, the dollars, the zeros, the commas, they all grow over time. But how somebody feels about you, that really says what sets you apart right off the bat to me. And so I applaud a young man like yourself. I applaud the drive that you've had and definitely the compass that you've been following. Listen, we're going to ask you important questions. We ask all of our guests about your brand. Okay. So here is, who do you serve and effectively, who is your ideal customer?
Ideal customer would be somebody that is looking for just content creation, right? Taking their content creation to a whole new level. We serve them in so many ways. It's not just video content and photos, right? We have to have that personal connection, right? And it's more about telling their story, telling what they want to tell, to have a person have a great experience and be able to, you know, shine and have a conversation about what they want to see in their commercials and in their business.
What qualifies you to serve them?
We've had 5 years of experience traveling to Mexico for the Baja races, to shooting for Jaguar, Land Rover, some other local companies. Yeah, my whole team has their degrees. You know, I have my degree in photography with dual minors in entrepreneurship and business administration. Our portfolio has grown extensively from day one to what it is today.
I like it.
All right. How does it make their life better?
Taking a sketch, it puts a smile on them. It lets them know that they're valid and that their business is something valuable, right? And sometimes people think you need huge budgets to create these large videos, and obviously that's not what we're here for. They have the experience of seeing something go live in a commercial or an Instagram, you know, reel or something. It just makes that experience so much more better.
Love it. And then finally, what sets you apart from others that do the same thing in your industry?
I love the smaller companies. I think you're not jumping through hoops and regulations and policies, right? You get to go straight to the owner, get to have fun with it, and let them be involved, because starting, it's so hard to be attached to your own brand sometimes, right? If you're not involved, you're kind of like, okay, I guess, but we're able to connect with them on a whole different level.
How can prospects reach you if they have questions or want to work with you?
Yeah, we're across all kinds of platforms, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Sierra Media. You guys can personally find me on Instagram, the Edgar Sierra, all one word. I mean, I just post personal stuff on there. The Sierra Media is more for the business. We have some TikToks out there. Not sure how that's going, but we've done a couple of things there, so that's kind of fun. And you guys are always open to emailing me at edgar@esierramedia.com. I'm open to talk to anybody and everybody that wants to talk about entrepreneurship or business building.
That's awesome. Thank you, gentlemen, and we'll see you next time on Be Bold Branding.
Brought to you by BrandFace, the only comprehensive personal brand building system across the globe.